Welcome everyone to our third interview series today. Terry Lee is my name. I am longtime manager of Tartantown. Our pleasure to be here today. We are excited to be heading into the world of Highland dance. This time, the roots of Tartantown are in Highland dance with Heather Jolly, and dance remains a root strength of the business. So great to be into dance now. And our guests today are going to be Donald MacPhee and Christine Lacey from Scotland. They are truly what I would like to call a power couple in Highland dance. It's not that common that a top piper and a top Highland dancer get married. It has happened, but in this case, there's true power in this couple, in that I almost feel like we're visiting with royals today. There's a lot of royal going on because they both belong to or help run or on the boards of various royal associations. Donald with the Royal Pipe Band Association, and Christine with the newly appointed Royal Scottish Official Board of Highland Dance. So they've been longtime friends of ours, and we've admired Donald's piping and Christine's dancing for a number of years now. I and we go back a number of years, so we've seen the progression for them, and it's truly inspiring. We are going to be doing this all for charity today, and we're pleased, Tartantown, to join with Donald and Christine's chosen charity today, which is the Alzheimer's Society of British Columbia. And to get us going today, once again, we have our buddy Neil Dickey in to help chat, and we have Heather Jolly as well. Let's welcome them both in now if we can. Hello, both of you. Welcome to both. Heather's the president of Tartantown. She's a well-known dance teacher, adjudicator, and all-around dance expert at Tartantown. And let me tell you, she does not let you forget that point, that she's in charge of the dance section. And Neil, what can I say? It's great to have your presence here as well. Heather, any opening thoughts on Donald and Christine?
Well, I think it's quite exciting, actually, because I don't know of any time previously where the two of them have actually been involved in something about dancing. They've certainly been involved at conferences together, but not at the same time with respect to doing something on a video, I don't think, anyway.
Oh,
so it's quite exciting, actually.
That's great. That is great. And Neil, you as well are married to a Highland dancer, teacher, judge, and world champion, Nancy Hayes. Let's invite Donald and Christine in now from Alexandria, Scotland.
Hi.
Hello from Canada. Great to have you both. Thanks for doing this.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, good to be here.
Grand. I want you to know that primarily we do this to basically check up with friends and see what they're doing. That's the primary reason we started talking about this. And it's been a lot of fun. And, we're wondering how people are doing during this challenging time. And, I wonder how you're finding it, with the virus and not traveling, not judging. Stuff you'd be very used to doing this time of year. What are your thoughts on that? How are you making do?
Well, as far as Scotland goes, we're just we've entered phase 3, I think, on Thursday, and so we can go out and we can go to pubs and restaurants and get our hair cut and things like that, but with social distancing.
Well, you're in Alexandria, right?
That's right. Yep.
So that's up on the road towards Loch Lomond.
That's right.
That's it. Yep.
So social distancing isn't that difficult. It's not that big a town, eh?
No, yeah, you're right now.
Does Alexandria, is the railway station or a pub or something still in the middle of that roundabout?
Yes.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah, it's very. I don't know who designed that. It's somebody from Harry Potter.
Bizarre.
And Donald and Christine, thanks for nominating your charity today. And we're honored that you did that. And we understand there might be a story there and a connection to that charity, the Alzheimer's Society. Can you just quickly explain how that pertains?
Yeah, my mom's mom, she had Alzheimer's and suffered with it. The whole family suffered for about 10 to 11 years. My father-in-law, James Lacey, Christine's dad, was diagnosed with it probably 8 years prior to when he passed in 2018. And although big illnesses like that affect the whole family, with Alzheimer's and dementia, it does it even more so. So anytime that you can send anything their way, then that's a great thing. So
Good. Very, very good. Thanks for that. Now, as I sort of jokingly said, we are pleased to have royals with us today. I'm feeling blessed. We're feeling blessed here in Vancouver to have you with us. And so, in speaking of couples, in your case, royal couples, we're going to take a look at a few pictures right now, just at you two as a couple. Let's do that. I'll jump in first. This is maybe my favorite shot of you two guys. Just such a casual, brilliant shot. Looking great.
Is that iced tea, Donald?
I'm sorry?
Is that iced tea?
Yeah, I was the driver on that particular evening. That was taken at one of our most favorite restaurants, Morton Steakhouse. So yeah.
In Orlando.
Oh, so it's not in Scotland. You can't get iced tea in Scotland, no. Hell, you can't get ice in Scotland.
I think I've got a tan there, so yeah.
Here you are officially. Are you judging playing for dancing? What's happening here?
That was the last year at the BATD Scottish National Dance Premiership event. I was judging and Donald was piping. So
notice
Donald
matches the skirt. Very, very important, by the way.
Very.
Well, Donald,
yes.
how come your bag? You don't have a bag to match your kilt?
A bag cover, maybe.
Yeah.
Throwback. Looking really spiffy, guys. Oh, look at that. Come on. This is early days now. This is the early days.
This was the cowl before we got married. So yeah. Yeah.
Great shot.
The
Looking good.
teddy bear tie, the very, very important teddy bear tie.
Yeah, Richard Parker's got a tie like that. Actually, he's got a whole shirt like that.
Oh, well.
that was around the same time as the fateful evening we all went to Beverly's for dinner. And I didn't realise I was dining with half of the Scottish Official Board on my dinner date.
I think Heather was there
Yeah,
that
there
night.
was.
Yeah.
I think I was. I was just thinking that. I was trying to remember, but I think I was there too. You're right.
Yeah,
Wow.
you were.
Yeah.
I think I've heard this story.
You and
that's
Sandra
not-
Bullock and Diane and Donna and Mike and Mark.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember now because it was it's a hotel, isn't it? Up on the hill, sir?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not iced tea.
That's not iced tea. No, that is not iced tea. No.
Oh, that's
Well, that
good.
was good.
That was at the noon. Christine was there to present
The trophies.
the trophies, and I was one of the pipers for dancing.
Christine, what do you call the award or the designation around your neck there?
That's the chain of office for the chairman of the
Okay,
board.
great.
You look like the Lord Provost.
I know.
Great stuff.
Oh, that's good.
Whoa. Beautiful.
Look
Hey,
at
who
the
piped
two.
at your wedding?
Back when they had weddings.
Who piped at your wedding?
We had four. We had two of we had Alistair Gillis pipe us out, and then prior to the service, we had one of my students, Joss Fisher. He piped in up
In the turret.
in the turret. They're up at the church, and then Stuart Bishop, and then I piped for Christine when she danced. She danced the Highland Fling at the reception. So, but yeah.
In the gown?
Yes.
Nice.
Actually, was a moment when the Ceilidh band that were playing for us used to play for me up at Glen Eagles when I danced there, and Bobby Harvey was the guy, the leader of the band, and he invited every dancer in the room to get up for a hooligan.
Oh,
So it was quite a sight. All the people that were there, all dancers, judges, teachers, all got up and took part. So it was amazing.
absolutely brilliant. Thanks for discussing these photos. Great shots. And Donald, I know timing is a big thing for you and for many pipers for dancing, let's be honest. You've done an instructional video on that topic for us. We appreciate that. It's such an important thing. I wonder if we can perhaps take a look at that, and when we come back, Neil and I will speak a little more in depth with yourself, Donald. So let's take a look at that, Donald's first video now.
Hello. Another topic that Heather and Terry from Tartantown have asked me to do is dancing on the beat. Something that's kind of a bugbear of mine, if you will. When Celine Dion is singing and the piano player is playing for Celine Dion and they're not in congruency, it's always the piano player that hasn't a clue. So when a dancer is dancing off time, it certainly gives the impression that I don't have a clue. So here we go. This is an exercise, hopefully, that will help you in getting your dancers to dance on the beat. Now, I'm not a dancer. I don't profess to be a dancer. I am a musician and a music teacher, and will hopefully present an avenue to help you or your students find the beat. As teachers, we need to find that connection with our students, because what is naturally heard by some is sometimes not heard by others. The beat, for example. So connecting with your student to connect with the beat. Now, it must be said that clapping actually takes more coordination than one might think. So don't use clapping when you're doing this. Okay, you want to use word association. Okay, so use words to help find the beat or connect with the beat. The 8 words that I've chosen are: the more I dance, the better I get. So here we go. Every beat is going to be a word. The more I dance, the better I get. The more I dance, the better I get. Once we've achieved, then change the tempo of the dance or the step. Shameless plug here. On my last 2 recorded material for Highland dancing, there are 4 different tempos for the Highland fling. After they've done that, then the added expansion would be to separate the words to every other beat or every 4th beat. So we're going to do that. For the introduction, I'm going to do every 2nd beat, and then the first step, I'm going to do every 4th beat. Here we go. The more I dance, the better I get. The more I dance, the better I get. When they have made that connection of words to the beat, then incorporate hopping or jumping. Now at this point, I don't want to give you the impression you are now done and dusted with this finding the beat. The development now is associating the words to the beat, is the connection to the beat. And why is the beat so important? Well, right out of the textbook, out of the Royal Scottish Official Board of Highland Dancing textbook. When executing any movement of elevation, the dancer should land on the count, except where otherwise stated, such as the 2nd alternative method with a pause in the crossover step. When the working foot has to be placed in or raised to any specified position whilst executing a movement of elevation, that foot arrives at a specified position simultaneously with the dancer landing on the ball of the supporting foot, unless otherwise stated. So, it's my understanding that dancing off time is a no-no. There have been occasions when I've piped for dancing, and dancers that dance off time have been placed higher and even winning championships over dancers that have danced in time and to the music. I'd prefer not sleeping in the shed, so we will just move on from here. Hope this has helped you out. All the very best to you. Thanks.
Well done, Donald. Thanks for that. So important to think of timing, and it's an easy way of thinking about words and timing. It must be frustrating for you to pipe. I always found it frustrating that dancers want to dance behind the beat that little bit for the sake of strength and power. I know they're trying to be athletic and trying to challenge the beat. Do you find that frustrating at all?
Very much so. Very, very much so, Terry. It's very difficult to pipe for dancing when the dancers are dancing off time, and some are dancing on time and others are dancing off time as stated. And as I stated in the video, whenever there's a disconnect between the piano player and Celine Dion, it's never Celine Dion's fault, you know. It's the piper's fault. So, so yeah, I realize and I understand that they're trying to do some special stuff like elevate higher or really exaggerate what, you know, the technique that they want to do, but all the dancers up on the platform are in that same circumstance, and well, when dancers dance off time, you're supposed to be penalized, you know. So.
But if you're going at a certain pace, right, doesn't a dancer then have to sacrifice a wee bit of elevation? Because it's just physics, isn't it? If you're up here, you're still going to come down at the same speed. So if I'm elevated an inch higher than the girl next to me, I'm going to be behind when I land. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So the dancers have to, those with strength and elevation, is there some sort of like compromise they have to make them when they're dancing? Or do you slow down?
Well, no, because then you're basically adjusting to the dancers. They if you were doing that, you wouldn't please anybody. So I don't alter my tunes at a championship. I basically play the same three. It may be a bit boring as far as it goes, but I try and play the same, whether it be the tempo and or the tunes, and so there's no benefit to anybody, and you're playing the same for all dancers that are doing it.
Right. And tough when you've got little ones at one end of the stage and bigger ones at the other end of the stage, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. When you any wee ones that dance off time, it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, I don't have any issue with that, none whatsoever. They're just new into it, and so no, I don't have any problem with that, and you kind of anticipate it. Piping at a championship and doing adults and junior champions, junior dancers, you really don't anticipate that, and so anyway.
Of course.
I'm not saying it always happens. It just it's difficult when it does, but you have to get over it and adjust, you know.
I think it's interesting for dancers and teachers who might be listening to this to hear your perspective. You know, as one of the top dance pipers in the world, it's frustrating and it's a challenge. So, and dancing to the music certainly is meant to be an integral part of expression and dance. So let's be honest, though, the music is supposed to inspire you to dance, and so it's a huge thing. So thanks for that. And tell us
if I can say
yes.
Just if I can say, due to my grounding and due to my education in this with Diane and Don and of course Christine, I'm not shy when we're having a disconnect right there at the first couple of things. I'm over to the adjudicators going, and are you sure I'm okay? And then they all, well, if I'm not okay, I'm tell, you know. So
a great point. Great point, Donald. Tell us about your roots. You're from Texas. You moved to Scotland. I'm wondering how these two places compare, or if there's something you miss about Texas, or what you do miss, or what the differences are, just quickly.
Well, we got married in 1997, and when it first came over, the internet wasn't as popular as what it is now. And I moved from a city in Houston, Texas, where you could buy absolutely anything within an hour and a half's drive. And when you move over here to Alexandria, well, that wasn't the case. You would even go into Glasgow and drive into Glasgow and not get things. So it was a bit of a change at the start, but with the internet and the Google machines and with Google and all that stuff, it makes it a whole lot easier. But yeah.
Absolutely. Let's look at your bio just quickly, Donald. I looked, you've got a huge biography, and I just want to just rifle through it. You're one of the most diversified players that I know, and I say that for a bunch of reasons, but number one would be because you played for dancing really well. Puts you in a different category than a lot of players for me. And you know, so let's talk about it quickly. Solos. You've gone to the top with solos. You know, I see the gold medal at Inverness as maybe the highlight of your career. Would that be correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. Let's be honest. Now, but also for me, a bandsman of many years in good bands. You played a number of years in the Scottish Power.
I did.
Right, and you played a lot of years in the Field Marshal Montgomery, winning 6 world championships there.
That's it. That's right.
And don't forget, he was leader of a revolutionary band called Hamilton. One of my
Yes.
favorite grade 2 bands.
Well,
I'm not kidding you. I remember seeing you guys and I thought, where the hell did they come from?
A revolutionary Broadway show and pipe band, let's be honest, right? Donald, we never played together, but as you like to say, you coined the phrase that we now play in the same pipe band on the RSPBA judging panel, and I enjoy that doing with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I started off piping for dancing because my dad was my primary teacher. My 2 sisters taught Highland dancing, and he promoted me. He really promoted me to go into the studio and to pipe for dancers. It meant I was playing. It meant I was practicing more. So and it just kind of grew arms and legs from there.
Terry, did you pipe for any dancing?
Myself?
Yeah, for any competitions?
Yeah, I played for quite a bit of Highland dancing, and I've sort of passed that on to Alistair somewhat, my son Alistair, in that just how good it is, how great it is for training, for piping, you know, rhythm and lift and, you know, endurance and different things. It's great exercise, and it's all sorts of things.
What I wanted to talk to you too about is when I was doing it when I was younger, is I was like a 10-hour shift, and there would maybe be 2 pipers or at the maximum 3, and that's what put me off, is just being there like 10 hours in a day playing the same thing. And I'm wondering if a lot of pipers, you know, are discouraged from getting into piping for dancing because I don't know that many, you know, of the top end pipers are doing that. And I remember once Heather was instrumental in organising an interprovincials in Whistler, and she had a cadre of pipers. I think there must have been a bank of 12 of us, and we all did a little, like, one set of dances. And that was the best experience I ever had for piping for dancing, because every time you went out, you were fresh. Hey, what thoughts have you got on that, Don?
Yeah, we're better treated nowadays. When I first broke into it, you had John Recknagel and you had Jimmy Fee, and these guys could pipe for dancing all day. As far as in the States goes, spent some time with Scott McCauley, and of course he was a great influence as far as piping for dancing goes. And they're treating us much better now. And in the earlier days, it was difficult. It was one of these things, but you know, they're treating us better now, and know that I guess we won't be shy in just giving them feedback as far as, you know, hey, maybe next year get another piper. Most of the organizers know they've got a number of dancers that they go to, or else a number of judges that they have to add on to. So it's a whole lot better nowadays. You know, a whole lot better.
What would you say to encourage young pipers? One of the things that I did, because my sister was in dance school, and Sadie Simpson ran a school down the road from us, and Elspeth Stethern taught some friends of mine, and I used to go into the studios and play at practice, and that's where I learned how to do it. And then I got given competition gigs. How do we encourage young players to get involved with going into the studios and helping there, and then piping at the dancing competitions?
Absolutely, Neil. Thanks for bringing that up. It's find a local dance school and go in and basically get comfortable with piping for dancing and what it's all about and all that kind of thing. I don't know many pipers that just go out there and immediately start piping at competitions. So get involved with a dance school, or if you're lucky enough, like yourself and me, where we marry Highland dancers and kind of get involved that way or whatever. I don't know, but it's as Terry alluded to, it helps with rhythm, it helps with musicality, it helps in your strathspey playing. And please, if there's any young pipers that want to learn how to pipe for dancing, I'm forever sending music or CDs or stuff like this just to encourage them. And you just never know what might happen and who you might end up with, eh, Neil?
You end up marrying one, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And to make it a trifecta, I also married a Highland dancer. My wife Nancy, just saying.
I am so sorry. I did not
trifecta.
know. Nancy, I am so sorry.
Okay, so I got to ask you two guys this. It's like living with somebody with Tourette's of the fingers, isn't it? Like all the time, there's any love of music, they're always doing this, right? All the time. Like we're doing this. Like, what if a stranger arrived at our house and just watched us? It's the weirdest activity.
Well, I've got a funny story. When I was courting Christine, I was taking her out after she was teaching at the class, and they were talking about the Chandrews, and Mrs. Haggerty was probably, I don't know, in her early 90s at this point, and she actually danced the dance in the room where my two sisters would be, like what you say, second behind, front behind, and all that kind of stuff. This is a woman who was in her early 90s and actually danced that particular step, and I was just blown away. I was like, wow, that's impressive, So.
That's fantastic. And Donald, just not while we're on the topic of playing for dancing, you have recorded a whole bunch of tracks and have this new downloadable CD or individual tracks, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And we're gonna put that URL up on the screen for anyone who might be interested. I just happened to check it out. Wow, you have like, I don't know, 6 tempos for the fling or things like this. Incredible number of tracks. Fair?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I did a recording with my two sisters in Houston, and then when I moved over here, I did one with Christine, in I think 2008, and just the final one was one that we just did about 18 months ago. So yeah,
right.
And it's a bunch of music giving Highland dance teachers, examiners, dancers, different tempos, different kinds of things and stuff like that. Yeah.
So before we go on to the next video, I know it's coming up. I have a question for you, Donald, because you relate to it in what you talk about in the video, is stresses and style of playing. And particularly, I want to ask about the hornpipe, and reels as well, but the hornpipe particularly. All growing up, I was asked to play hornpipes that were pointed, like Bobby Cuthbertson or Lucy Cassidy, those type of tunes. And for those who don't know them, it goes da-da-dee and dun-da-dee and or a little bit faster. But recently, I've heard more open playing, and I guess the dancers have to adjust to that when they're playing tunes like Donald McLeod or Duncan Johnson. However, what I don't get is the hybrid, and I've heard this at competitions a lot, and it irks me a wee bit, is they will play, say, Bobby Cuthbertson for 4 steps, and then the last 2 steps they'll play one of my tunes, Clumsy Lover, because it's syncopated, but it's a completely different style, and it was never meant to be joined on to a pointed tune. Can you speak to that, please?
Again, the reason why they're playing Clumsy Lover, your tune, is for the high cuts, Neil, and it's the dancers that love to get that that melody, that lift, that musicality that's in that great tune, and it's very easy for them to do high cuts with it. So
there's no change in how they dance going from pointed to square?
Yeah, no. And then a 1 and then a 2 and then a 3 and then a 4 and that's how they look at hornpipes and so I wouldn't say that they're playing dohiri and dori humpy haberi and daddy dumpy hoberi and daddy. It's hoheri and daddy humpy haberi and daddy humpy hoberi and daddy.
Okay.
So it's there's more pointing to it than roundness. I would say at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard it, completely dead round though, kind of a little bit lifeless, and so therein lies the difference. You know what I mean? I think I totally agree.
Anyway, so what we're saying to pipers for dancing is if you're going to play a round or square tune, give it a little bit of stress onto the major beats.
Yes.
Yeah. I had a dancing adjudicator. I can't mind who it was, and I would play the chartreuse, and this was in my younger days. And she was like, "Oh, why are you doing that? Why are you putting such emphasis on there? Don't just kind of round it off a wee bit. Where there's not so much emphasis, and so getting feedback off of the judges, getting feedback off of dance teachers, getting feedback off of folk, looking for help. If whatever help or assistance or feedback you can give me that's going to make me a better whatever, I'm open to it. Talk to me. And it's just not learn the music as far as the notes on a page. That's where you have to go into a studio, and hopefully when you go into the studio, the dance teacher won't be shy. The dance teacher won't be, hey, we need this or we need that. So, but I see what you're saying, Neil, without a doubt.
Right. And just to conclude on that thought, or to expand slightly, when the dancers do the shuffles in the chartreuse first step, for example, normally the timing there, correct me if I'm wrong, is 1N, 2N, 3N, 4. Do you know what I mean? It's not 1N, 2N, 3 and 4. It's not dead even, right? And so
the first and third steps are more open, more national style. Right. And the second and fourth steps more Highland style. Is that right? So maybe we have to play it a wee bit different through each step.
I think there's no.
I think you see that, and I think you hear that off of my sisters or off of Christine, just as far as you were ahead of them there in the second step, or there was a disconnect here, a disconnect there. I had a real bad habit of playing fast introductions because and just wanted to get to them dancing. Come on, let's get to them dancing. So the introductions were fast, and I quickly got corrected every time that happened with Christine. So no doubt about that. So.
And Donald, before we forget, I'm still in your bio, by the way, that your vocation is a reed maker. A bagpipe reed maker is your primary service to our society. And so, well done to you for that. It's got to keep you busy, and you make a tremendous product. We're happy to sell that product at Tartantown, and thanks for doing that. I'm sure that keeps you busy. Any challenges there these days?
Yeah, thanks. No, I do reed make, and I do work with the SQA, the Scottish Qualifications Authority. I teach 1 day a week for Argyll and Bute Council in Helensburgh at 2 primary schools and 1 secondary school, and that's fun. So it was particularly challenging this year when the lockdown started. I told all my kids that I would, if they had an iPhone, I would teach them by FaceTime, and if they didn't have an iPhone, that I would teach them by WhatsApp. And
right.
There's very bad child protection that's involved with that. So I was faced with a situation where they had 2 weeks worth of lessons. The parents loved it. Everybody loved it as far as teaching them goes. But I got my knuckles wrapped with Argyll and Bute Council because there wasn't any child protection that was involved through FaceTime and WhatsApp. So I had to work my way around through a computer, and I really wasn't technically literate, as you say,
Right.
and so learned about Google Classroom and Google Meets, and then all the child protection issues that's involved with that. So a great deal of my lockdown, a great deal of my time was involved with doing that and getting smarter with that. And of course, with that being in a lockdown situation, you're teaching yourself, which so a great deal of my time was devoted to that.
Okay,
So,
good. And
pipe bands, solos, judge, you're on solo judging, reed making, piping. You're like piping's Renaissance man.
When I first moved over here, I got my graduate certificate with the USPBA, and when I came over here, Christine was really adamant that I get involved in the certification process that's over here. So that was at the Institute of Piping through the Piping Center at that time, and I was teaching at the Piping Center. And so anytime that any kind of learning activity was open, then it was Christine that basically kicked me in the backside and says, go out and do that. So when you do all that kind of stuff, a lot more doors open. So yeah.
right. And Donald, let me just quickly jump in and sort of conclude this section by saying, and I'll say it, I've been at Cowell many years, but I've been at Cowell the odd year where you never saw the main stage. I would suggest, I've been at least 1 year where you never saw the main stage as, in my opinion, the best pipe for dancer in the world. I'm going to say it. I'm kind of surprised and shocked, or find it very odd that you've never played for that Champions Fling at the end for the World Champions. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, you're correct there, Terry. There is the gentleman that was the lead piper for dancing before the current one. The current one is Andrew McGowan, and the one before him was Ian McDonald. And so I even asked Ian one time when Diane and Donna's student Michelle Camogan won the Worlds.
Right.
I said, Ian, any chance I can do the fling at the end? And no, I'll be doing that. And so the lead piper at Cowell is Andrew McGowan, and so
Right.
Cowell has its traditions, and so it's just these things that happen. And
Sure.
I even when I don't pipe for dancing, if I can get the word out that you've got the stand, you've got the three best dancers in the world dancing for you. They just won the Worlds. Andrew's over there piping for dancing, and he starts his introduction, goes along great. And as soon as the dancers start dancing, you've got the audience up in the Cowell stand, and they're always pushing the beat, and they're always playing ahead of Andrew.
Of course.
And, you just want to grab Billy's mic or whose ever mic and go, wait, hey, listen, this is the three best dancers in the world. Let them do what they're going to do. Chill out with the clapping fast. If you can't clap on time, then don't, But
Let them show off. Yeah.
So that's one on your bucket list. I know one other thing in piping that you haven't done is you haven't been the piper at the top of the turret at Edinburgh Castle in the tattoo. So before your days are done, I want to see you up there, Donald.
Well, I was recruited to do that Piper's Trail kind of a thing, and Stevie Small asked me. He says, "Hey, you want to come pipe for it?" And so, we'll see. We'll see if that's
one of the gigs in the world. I don't want to do that one.
It'll need to be some size of rope to make sure I don't fall off of there. I'll tell you that much.
Guys, this has been a great discussion. Thank you very much. Donald, I wonder if Christine might just be in the vicinity, if she could maybe just come back over your shoulder, if that's at all possible. See what she says. And we've got, Donald, a little surprise for you. Want to play a little video here.
Hey, Donald and Christine. Greetings from Houston, Texas. Heather has asked if I would share a wee story about Donald growing up. And although there's many I could share, and I will tell you that from the time Donald was a wee boy, he would always have a practice chanter in his hand, or my dad's pipe chanter, or when he heard any bagpipes playing, you would see him marching off to the side. I mean, you knew he was going to be a piper. But the story I think I'm going to share with everybody right now is when he was 10 years of age. We were living in Dunedin, Florida. And my mom and dad had their bedroom at one end of the house. And Donald, Donna, and myself had our bedrooms at the other end of the house. Anyway, every night Donald would go to bed with a tape and in the tape player, and you would hear, "He-ba-do, ho-ba-do." Yes, a 10-year-old was going to bed with Pembroke, okay? Well, let me tell you, this went on night after night after night. No marches, no spades or reels or hornpipes and jigs. It was Pembroke's. Anyway, one night Donna was so mad, across the bedroom, okay, she's yelling at Donald, Donald, do you have to go to bed with those Peebs every night? And then she ends up marrying Mike Cusick. So there you go. Now, if I can tell you about Donald and Christine, back in 1996, okay, we had the U.S. Championship. And Heather, you'll remember this because you were one of the adjudicators along with Christine. Well, I didn't realize that Donald had a fancy for Miss Lacey at the time. But apparently maybe you saw the glee in his eye, but I didn't at that time. But other people did. Then later on, and that was July of 1996, August of 1996, and I think you were at this table, Heather, as well. If I can tell you, a lovely place in Dunoon. It was called Beverly's. It's no longer there, but you always had a lovely meal. And it only sits about 14 that could be there for dinner. So there was a table of 6 or 7 of us, and it was Sandra and Tony Jones, Marjorie and Mari. Heather, I think you were there, Mary Margaret maybe, and myself. And we were all here, we're eating and having a drink. And who walks in for a nice romantic meal but Donald and Christine? Now you can imagine their worst nightmare, seeing all of us and the two of them walking in to have a nice quiet date together. Well, here they are. They're going on 23 years of marriage and happily married, I will say. And they're so beautifully suited for each other. What a blessing to have Christine part of our lives and to see them so happy and doing so well. I just wish they were closer. We all live closer. Anyway, can I just share with everybody the great guy that you know? Well, let me tell you, he's always been that great guy. He's an awesome brother, a great friend, and we love him dearly. Here's to hugs and kisses, bro. I love you.
Oh,
Love you too, Diane.
what a lovely
Thanks.
surprise.
Thank you.
That was great. Was that great or what?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Come
Yeah.
on. Nailed it. Nailed it, Diane did. Thanks for watching that. And Donald, we're going to finish off with your second tutorial video on musicality and rhythm. And thanks for doing that and for just talking with us for now. And when we come back, we're going to be having Heather discuss things with Christine. So let's play that second video now.
Hello. Heather and Terry from Tartantown have asked me to pick a topic from one of my musicality for dance talks that I do when I'm lucky enough to accompany my wife, Christine, carry her luggage, really. I've been asked to do these musicality for dance workshops. So the topic that I've chosen for this particular video is going to be the difference between beat and rhythm. Beat is a basic unit of time, and the pulse is a regularly repeated event. Subdivisions of the bar, if you will. Associated words would be pulse, meter, count. Basically, the steady pulse you feel in the tune, it is the beat you naturally dance to, or tap your foot to, or clap to. Rhythm is the actual time value of the notes. And the notes are providing the melody of the tune between the beats. I was lucky enough to attend the RSPBA structured learning, and they taught us through nursery rhymes the difference between beat and rhythm, and that's what I'm going to do with you here. The nursery rhyme that I've chosen is Hickory Dickory Dock. Hopefully this demonstration will give you a way of easily explaining or understanding the difference of beat and rhythm. So here we go. What's going to be providing the steady beat is going to be the metronome. So that's the beat, and I will be saying the rhythm, which are the words to Hickory Dickory Dock. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hickory Dickory Dock. the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse came down, hickory dickory dock. Now, clapping out the rhythm, I'm just going to use the syllables of the words to accompany the clapping. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse came down, hickory dickory dock. From that demonstration, we can see how syllables can help in better understanding rhythm. In Highland dancing, the same movements, like the pas de ba, are the same in different dances, but they have different rhythms. And this is the extension that I'm going to use now. The pas de ba in the sword dance is a heavily accented, what's considered an imperfect half-beat rhythm, and goes like this: 1 in, 2, 3 and 4. 1 in, 2, 3 and 4. In the chantreuse and the reel, it's a perfect half-beat rhythm. Perfect half-beat rhythm counting in 4s for the chantreuse would be 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And the pas de ba in the reel, of course, beating it out in 2s, would be 1 and 2, 2 and 2. 1 and 2, 2 and 2. Now, the further extension of that, we learned about syllables in the nursery rhyme. Now we're going to adapt that and hopefully help further help in understanding rhythm. 3-syllabled boy's name that I'm going to use is Benjamin, and the 3-syllabled girl's name I'm going to use is Natalie. So for the sword dance, imperfect half-beat rhythm, here we go. Benjamin, Natalie. Benjamin, Natalie. And for the perfect half-beat rhythm in the chantreuse and the reel, it would be Benjamin, Natalie. Benjamin, Natalie. So, break down words into syllables. Use those syllables to get your Highland dancers to understand the difference between beat and rhythm. Hope this helps you out. Thank you.
First of all, Christine, it's really quite neat to be able to interview you, because there's so many questions that a lot of us would like to know that we never get a chance to ask.
Yeah.
And I'd like to start with your role as chairman of the Royal Scottish Official Board now of Highland Dancing. And you know, I'd like to know, I think our listeners would like to know, how did you come about to get to this point in time? And maybe you could go ahead.
Certainly. It's been a long time coming, Heather. It's been in the pipeline, and it's been requested over the years a few times. Before I took over in 2006 as chairman, I know Marjorie had been involved with that, pursuing that a couple of times, but we were never successful. And for me, I wanted to continue with that. I then took it as a personal challenge. And why? Because I felt that the pipe bands have it. They have the royal title, the royal RSPBA, and the country dancing world have it.
Right.
They're the Royal Scottish Country Dance Organisation. So why were the Highland dancers the poor relation? So, but it's the same as everything in life. It's you. It's who you contact and how you go about it, and knowing that. So there's very little information on how to get it, but when you do actually get in touch with one person, it's it was like a chain reaction, and we eventually got to the right person. And literally that happened within a few months of us applying, and it was just wonderful to get it in our 70th anniversary. So
I would think that might be one of the things that you will cherish in terms of your career as a chairman of the board. I think that's quite an accomplishment, really.
Well, we only put the lines of communication we asked, and we eventually got there. But for me, it's recognition for everybody, our forefathers over the last 70 years that have put everything into it, all of their dedication, years of service. And I think everybody needs to understand that the people before the current people, they gave most of their life free of service. They never charged for anything.
No.
And I don't think the dancers of today really understand that. So I just want to make sure that that's known, that they were true greats, and gave their life to Highland dance. And that's what we try to emulate now going forward. So
I think you're absolutely right. And I think it is true that a lot of people nowadays don't really understand, or maybe they don't even care, but they should, of the hours and time that a lot of people put into forming the board initially. And I know you've had Billy doing some videos on it, and I think that's great, because I think it's making people...
that came out of, I always think that something positive comes out of a negative experience. So through discussions lately, through virtual events, etc., it became evident that people needed to be educated on the history of the board and the history of what our traditional Highland games are all about. So
yes, and of course Jean's doing that, isn't she? Yeah, absolutely. That's great too.
So
yeah,
it was a project for each of them, and they both took it on board to do the research for it. So they're doing a great job, and the feedback has been so positive.
I'm sure it would be. I think I've listened to both of them, and I think they've both been very good, really.
Yeah.
So. And on a personal level, I know you've received many congratulations, but I'd like the people who are listening to all know that I think one of your greatest achievements has been awarded the MBE by, of course, Prince Charles. That must have been a wonderful experience, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, with your family being able to go and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a wonderful experience. Marvelous for Highland dancing to get the recognition, absolutely, but just an experience that you'll never forget.
No.
And I'm getting tearful because my dad was there.
Right, of course.
Donald, if anybody asked Donald what was the highlight of that day, was not necessarily the whole service that was going on, because it was very orchestrated. You were told every 10 paces that you walked, you were to go this way, and you were taught in a room how to curtsy and how many paces you could say and what you could say. It was Prince Charles, and how you addressed him, and you would get his hand, and when he was finished with you, he would push your hand back, and that was your cue to walk 3 steps in reverse and all that kind of stuff. So it was a magical day, without question. The reality of the situation was I had to cross the pond twice, because I was over doing the Delco workshop, and I'd been invited to the service initially, and I couldn't, because I was judging the Canadian Championship when it was happening, because it was supposed to be at Holyrood. So I had to cancel the first time round, and then the second time round I was at Delco, and I was then going to judge the Queen Mary. So long story short, I went to Delco, paid for a fare to come back, to go to London to the service with my mum. Donald and my dad came in the train, met us down there, and then the next day Mum and I went back to California from London. So anyway, but the highlight for Donald was watching my mum and dad's face.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, they must have been very proud. No question about that. Yeah. It's not everybody that has a daughter that goes to Buckingham Palace, you know? No. No, that was great. And it was really nice that they were able to be there too, you know, both of them. Yeah. What do you envision the future of the board in your eyes? What would you like to see happen, or is there anything specific, or would you just like to see it continuing on the way it is, or do you have any plans?
Well, right now, I'd just like dearly for us to have a healthy environment and a safe environment for to get through this pandemic, because everybody has reservations. Personally, about how we keep dancing alive, make sure it's there at the end of the day. I firmly believe that most dancers will still be there and want to have normality, whatever that looks like. And until such times as we have a vaccine, we're going to have to be innovative and creative and make sure we're looking after our dancers. That's got to be the priority. There's lots of activities going forward that we can. We're always developing, we're always growing. Like for right now, the project that was ready for the end of this year, and it will happen one way or the other because we've spent the last few years making it happen, is the one Scottish National book for RSLBHD competitions and Scottish National Dance Premierships. I think that will be an exciting, I find it exciting, I hope the dancers find it exciting, that we're going to have the one book, everything in the one book for the purposes of our competition arena, whilst it's being operated and researched in conjunction with the examining bodies, and the examining bodies are still retaining their individual methods for their exam syllabus, but it zones in the competition arena for us, and I think it will help all round for teachers, judges and dancers.
Oh, definitely.
So that's one activity. Judges Committee are looking at ways to how we can enhance and improve the format of the judges test. What that looks like right now, I have to say that all the committees at the board are working twice as hard right now because we have the facility of Zoom, and we're not really doing other activities that we've got the time to spend on it. So judges committee and technical committees are meeting twice a month just now. So every Wednesday is either a judges committee meeting for research and making up the papers and how we're basically brainstorming ideas for the way forward with that as well. So lots of activities happening in the background, talking about things and just talking them through while we've got the opportunity to do that. So
it's kind of interesting that people say out of something bad, something good always happens. And you know, that this virus has given us the opportunity and the time to do the things just as you say.
Absolutely.
You know, which we might normally not have or have to rush through or whatever, you know. So,
exactly.
We're going to move on to your career as a dancer, but there was one or two other things I just wouldn't mind asking with regards to the official board. One of the things that I have made a note of here is, what do you feel has been your biggest challenge since you've taken over as chairperson?
That's a real easy one, Heather, and it's a personal challenge. It wasn't anything to do with the business side of it or the communication side of it, anything involved with the role as chairman. For me, it was a personal realization for me, sitting looking at everybody in a room that serves on the board who predominantly I was brought up to respect and look at them as judges, as teachers, and here was little old me sitting there looking at them, and I was in the position that I was basically there to lead them and steer them and guide them and passing the mantle on to, you know, how we can keep dancing moving forward. So it was a big adjustment for me inside my head, not that I wasn't capable of doing it with my background in the banking world. And my years of service there stood me in firm ground, and I guess that's why I was approached to stand, because I had that business acumen behind me. I had the communication skills through human resource activities, and of course all the years of service that I had given to the board as a delegate, and all my experience through the examining body that I'm a member of, and serving on most of the committees on the board. So all of that stood me in good ground to be confident in what I was doing. It was just this, these are all the great people that I was brought up to respect, and here am I.
Well, I can tell you, you know, speaking on behalf of the dancing world, which I don't really have the right to do, but I'm still going to do it. I think you've made tremendous strides in your position. And I think the feeling worldwide is much more there's many more things that are so much better in terms of the world of Highland dancing since you've been chairperson. I really do feel that way, and I hope you realize that yourself, that you're doing really good work, and I hope you're able to continue.
Thank you. I do get asked all the time, you know, how do you get voted on? And, you know, you explain to people it's an annual, you know, it's voted on annually. And how long will you be prepared to do it? As long as I feel as I'm making a difference and we're progressing and developing and working together and a united front to make life better for dancers, whether it's increasing the numbers, whether it's increasing their enjoyment, whether it's making them safer for child protection, whatever that is, so long as we're progressing, I'm happy to be involved.
Well, I think you definitely are doing that. So I congratulate you in that area. And I'd like to move on to your career as a dancer now too. But before we do that, I have a special surprise for you too. And I believe we're ready to show you this now. Okay, here's a little surprise for you, Christine. We would like you to watch the screen carefully, and you'll see someone you know very well. Hello, Nancy. I believe that I'm going to ask a few questions of you, Nancy, that relate to Christine and her career as a dancer with your studio. I understand that your mother and you were her sole teachers, and maybe you'd like to explain a little bit about that and how she started with your studio and so on.
Okay, well, when Christine was 3 years of age, that's when her mum took her along to our dance school. And our studio, it was Stuart School of Dancing in Alexandria, Scotland. We did an hour-long class. We called them babies at that time. You're not allowed to say that now. But she was a 3-year-old, and we did the first half hour in tap dancing and the next half hour in ballet dancing. So she joined that class, and after a few months, she kept asking us, when can I do the kilt dance? So we knew then what she really wanted to do. However, she did eventually come into the Highland class and did her first competition when she was a 4-year-old, and only could do the sword dance because we always started teaching the sword dance first, not the Highland flying, sword dance. So she could only do the sword dance, went to her first competition and won her first gold medal. Well, from then on, that really got her interested. She loved nothing better than a good challenge. And she was such a hard worker, always worked for perfection, as she still is today. She'll never be any different, I don't think. That's just her nature, always to do her best. Now, at the School of Dancing, my mother, who was Jessie Stewart Haggerty, MBE, and my mother's younger sister, Agnes Stewart, and myself, we were the 3 teachers in that school then. And that's the only teachers Christine ever had. She never was with another dance school. And all the years that she competed and danced, and she was trained in all types of dance, even did ballroom dancing and Latin American and old time. So she was a wonderful student to work with, always working hard and always practiced, which that doesn't always happen in these days, as we know. But she was just the ideal student, that's it.
Did you recognize right off, Chris, that Christine was potential champion material, or was she just an ordinary student?
No, she was just an ordinary child that wanted to do Highland dancing. She had full of bounds. Was a type of child, needed very little sleep, so her mum said, and was always bouncing around, plenty of energy. She had a nicely shaped foot, but didn't have great turnout then. So through the years, she worked on that till that did come.
Yeah. She obviously succeeded beyond her wildest dreams, and probably yours too. She won the world championship how many times did you say?
6 times.
6 times.
3 times in the under 16, once in the under 18, and twice in the adults. Before she didn't compete after that at Carroll. Because at 18, she left school and she went into banking. She started in the Bank of Scotland, and then did her university exams through banking. And she finished up with a fellowship, a chartered first of all in banking, and then on to do a fellowship in banking. And when she finished her banking career, she was an area manager. So she did really well in that. But again, it proves everything she does, it has to be the best. Only that counts.
It must have been thrilling for you, Nancy, for both your mother and Christine to be honored by the Queen and whatnot. And she sent us some pictures of that, so we're going to show those too.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. As a person and competitor, you sort of touched on this already, but what do you think are the characteristics of Christine that make her such a good competitor and with such determination? And is it her background? Were her parents behind her all the time? And did they let you do your work and just...
I would say they let us, the teachers, do the work, but they were very supportive parents. Whatever we said had to happen, happened.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. We had 100%, yes, support from the parents, both parents.
Yeah.
Her mum and her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful parents.
Well, Christina sent us quite a few pictures. We have one of her doing the swords at Cowell, and I think she might have been about 10. And a short clip, and then there's some of the Commonwealth, which was very interesting, the Commonwealth Games, and I think it's 86 maybe, and a few things like that. So it's going to be interesting, and then I'll obviously ask her a few more questions too. But is there anything that you would like to say to Christine yourself? I think this will be a little bit of a surprise for her, actually. I don't think she was expecting you to appear.
No, she'll be shocked at that. She might be frightened of some of the stories I might tell you. Because she is a character.
Oh, yeah.
She loves fun. But she knew when it was time for fun and when it was time for hard work.
Yeah.
And that's what got her where she was.
Yeah.
It was the hard work.
I don't have trouble believing that Christine was a hard worker. I think she's done that with her position now at the official board too.
Yes.
It's very important to her. She wants to make everybody happy, which is possible, of course. But I think she wants to do that on a worldwide basis, and she's doing a good job. I hope everybody would be supportive of her, because it's not an easy job to.
No, it's not an easy job. No, I don't envy her the job that she has. Yes. Well, no, but she'll manage it.
Oh yes, definitely. No question about that. Yeah. Well, I think you'll enjoy watching the rest of the questions I'm going to ask her and some of the pictures. I think you'll get.
Oh, okay.
And thank you very much, Nancy, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure to do it for her. Yes.
Good. Thanks a lot.
But she also did ballet and tap dancing.
Right. Of course, that's right.
Yes. She
and
did actually all forms of dance.
Yes, and she did well in ballet and tap too, I understand.
Yes, she won the Scottish Junior and Senior in tap and ballet, and she won the Senior British Ballet too, and was placed in the top set of the Senior Tap too. And we were to go to England to get this British thing. So, yeah.
I was so keen to have you do a little talk here, because I think a lot of people nowadays, they just know Christine as the chairman of the Royal Scottish Board, and they don't know her as a dancer and about her as a youngster, so I think it's really important, and
yes,
it'll be interesting for people to hear that she did ballet and tap and other dances as well.
Right. Well, she's qualified in all these branches of dance.
That's great.
Yeah, and did all her training at Stuart School of Dancing. So
I think that in itself is something to be commended for, that she was loyal to your studio through the whole.
Yes, it shows the loyalty that she's always had.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thanks very much, Nancy, and hopefully we will see you actually live soon.
Soon, hopefully. That would be nice, Heather.
For sure. Thanks
so
again.
You take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, was that a surprise?
Absolutely. Made me very emotional too.
Well, I was keen to have Nancy because I think there's a lot of things that you learned, or you didn't learn them, you knew, but the listeners have learned about you that I'm pretty sure being as, what's the word, you know, you're modest, very modest, and I don't think we would have heard about the championships and the various other sundry things that Nancy was able to tell us if I just asked you the question, because you probably would have put them.
That's true.
You wouldn't have probably gone on and told us the real news. So
No.
I think that's great that she did that. She was a little reluctant at first, but I think she did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
So now, as far as your own career as a Highland dancer, what stands out is obviously the winning the worlds. I know that's going to be one of them. But other than that, what stands out is what you consider to be your greatest accomplishment as a dancer?
Well, just as Nancy alluded to there, I worked at being the best I could possibly be with the talent that I was given. And as Nancy said there, what came naturally to me was my elevation. So, and I loved to practice. Donald and I have had this conversation before. He said, you know, not many people enjoy practicing, but he did it as well. And I did. I loved nothing better than to go into a 2-hour Highland class and sweat buckets and get better at what I was doing. And I did that in the tap and the ballet classes as well. So, but as far as my greatest accomplishment, I guess it involves what we've just been speaking about. In 1978, when I won the Junior World Championship, I was 17. And again, what most people don't know is that the week of Cowell, where everybody goes to Cowell and it's all prep for Cowell, on the weekend, the week leading up to us dancing at Cowell back then, I was actually down in England competing for the ballet championship, which Nancy just told you I won. So I won the British Championships for the ballet on the Thursday, or the Wednesday, and on the Thursday we were on the train back up to get to Dunoon to get to Cowell, and then I won the Junior World Championship the same year. So within a few days of one another, I managed to acquire those two awards.
That was a pretty spectacular week for you then.
Absolutely.
On that particular note, Christine, what is your advice in terms of, you know, do you feel that Highland dancers now are concentrating too much on Highland, or do you think they should be doing some cross training in ballet or some other field of dance, or how do you feel about that?
Well, I can only say what worked for me, and I would urge people to try different things, because you have. I firmly believe what made me better at what I did was, well, when I was in my early days, I was in dance class. We went to school every day. You get up, it was like Groundhog Day. You get up in the morning, you went to school, and then you went to dance class 5 nights a week. And then when you got to a certain age, like when I was in high school, so from 13 to 17, I chose to jog to school in the morning, and jog back up at lunchtime and back down again within the hour, which was a 2-mile run. So I did that morning and twice at lunchtime to keep up my fitness, as well as doing my ballet class, as well as doing my tap class. And all of these disciplines that I was involved in, each one enhanced, in my opinion. Didn't appreciate it at the time, but later on in years, you know that the tap dance definitely the rhythms helped with your hornpipes, your jigs, your erleverel, your understanding of what rhythms were. The ballet, obviously, the placings, the technique, the deportment, the performance, the overall enhancement that you could make to differentiate yourself from just being a Highland dancer in a box, as I would say. They helped me to come out the box and grow and give the best performance I possibly could with the additional support that I had. I was really, really fortunate that I was trained in the one school. And for me, the 3 ladies that I had Mrs. Haggerty, Nancy and Agnes, they were all the top experts in their fields. Everybody went for lessons to Agnes Stewart for ballet. Everyone went to Mrs. Haggerty for Highland. And Nancy did a bit of everything, and she held the reins when her mum was away educating in Bannerelk in North Carolina every year with Jean Ritchie, and kept us to the fore, kept our stamina up, kept our technique where it needed to be. But Nancy was great fun in the tap, in the modern classes, the modern stage. We had lots of fun, but we worked hard there too. So they had different styles and different strengths, and I got the best of all of the worlds. And I really couldn't fault anything that they did for me.
Yeah. Well, I find it quite interesting because actually I was trained by my mother, of course, and I did a lot of ballet with another teacher and did ballet up until about the time I was about 17, when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to make any money going further with ballet, because at that time they were paid, 50 cents or something. I forget what it was, but it wasn't much. My dad said to me, well, you don't want to make a career of this because you're not going to be able to support yourself. So I gave up ballet, but it's always been one of my first loves. There's no question about that. And I find that it's a curiosity to me that in Scotland, it appears to me as if most dancing teachers have a background in other types of dance and either teach it along with their Highland or have done it themselves. But in Canada, that's not necessarily the case. Very few. There's a low percentage of teachers that have actually done any other dancing other than Highland. And I find that a little bit curious because I'm an advocate of training, and at least I try to do with my own lessons, try to include the techniques of these other disciplines, and I find it interesting that that doesn't seem to be the norm in North America.
No,
but,
I know. I understand what you're saying, but that's why one size doesn't fit all. That worked for me. And when you asked me, would I recommend that? I would recommend that they try it, and if it's not feasible, then find something that helps. Whether it's keep fit, whether it's on the weights, whatever works for you. Jogging, walking, cycling, skipping, all of the above.
Some cross training of some degree. I think it helps with injuries too. That you're not doing the same thing all the time. You're doing something a little different, using different muscles and whatnot. I'd like you to maybe tell the dancing world what you think, how you think you have benefited from Highland, and what the Highland dancers of the world should take away from their training in Highland. I feel there are big advantages to being a Highland dancer, not just being able to go to a competition and whatnot, but in your life skills, I think. And I think you would be a good person to tell people what you think is available there.
Absolutely. Dancers, if you're listening, for me, you will learn later on in life that all the attributes that you learn from your discipline to your behaviours to how you dress, how you conduct yourself in meetings later on in life, whatever walk of life you go into, at some point you'll have a light bulb moment saying, I learned that. I definitely am better at what I'm doing because of what I did as a competitor in the Highland dancing world. I firmly believe that. I've had that happen to myself. I don't know how many times, sitting in bank meetings going, where did that come from? Even from confidence of delivering a session, a business meeting, having the confidence to do that. Lots of attributes that you'll get from that. How we conduct ourselves, we educate you dancers to respect from the people that line you up at a competition to the event organisers to the judges. These things all become inherent in your nature and your behaviour and your how you conduct yourself. You will benefit from it going forward, but fundamentally, please look around the people that you're competing with, and even if it's just people that you say hello to in the lineup that are your competitors, at some point in your life you will treasure the friendships that you make with these people, because that's having a laugh and a giggle in the lineup, when I always used to get into trouble for not paying attention to, not focusing on what I was doing. But it didn't make any difference to me. When you went on the board, then you switched off. But at the side, I thoroughly enjoyed the camaraderie in amongst my competitors. And to this day, most of them are still involved in Highland dancing, and we can pick up where we left off. Funny story for you, Jean Swanson is the Vice President of the RSOBHD, and Jean, to this day, will tell you that when I started dancing, she was in the adults, and then when I progressed through into the adults, she was still dancing. So we go back a long, long time, and good friendship there, and it just nourishes and develops and grows. So then you get exposed to dancers throughout the world, and you make these connections throughout the world. And technology nowadays, look, here we are sitting today all talking to one another. So cherish them and develop them. You will get lots out of it. You will appreciate it later on in life.
Well, thanks, Christine, for this little chat. And you're going to be coming back again, I think, with Neil and Donald, of course, and Terry. And
Okay.
We're going to show some photos of you, and then later we'll do some videos. So thank you very much for having this chat with me. I really enjoyed it. We could probably go on for another couple of hours.
I know, thank you, Heather. We go back a long way.
I have one last question for you before you go away, or before I go away.
Yeah.
I've been curious to know your mother's real name, because I'm amused by Ginty. What exactly is her real name?
Jeanette.
Oh, okay.
Jeanette.
Well, say hello to her for me and tell her that the question is answered, because I've been curious to know that.
Yeah. No
Thanks,
problem.
Christine.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right, and Christine, that was really insightful, really great stuff. Thank you. And
Thank you.
And we have some fantastic pictures of you, thanks to Donald for that. That we're going to play and let them speak for themselves, an array of dance pictures. So we'll do that, but we're going to finish off with a couple of video things that Donald also sent over. Thanks for that. And one is a tiny glimpse of the 1972 Cowl Championship. It's a very short video. I believe you're near on the screen and doing the first step of the sword, I believe. Anyway, first step of something. And it's short. It's 20 seconds. Do not blink, crowd out there. And then we're a little compilation of the 1986 Commonwealth opening ceremonies at Edinburgh. And can you speak to either one of those, or was that an exciting moment? It seemed like quite the production.
It was very exciting, but it was very challenging, because what you can't see from the footage is that it's pouring with rain.
Ouch.
And it was really an endurance test, because there was no, you get bussed in, you walked on with these swords, you put them down, you did the 4 and 2 chanteuse, if I can remember correctly, and the sword dance, and then you picked the swords off and then ran off. So it was definitely a stamina.
Absolutely. There was a lot there. So we've edited it.
And
right
the
down
rain
to something
didn't help in the swords either, that's for sure.
I know. And that's funny. The rain didn't really come out, I don't think, on the video. So we couldn't appreciate how wet that field was, etc.
Yeah.
Anyway, well done to you and the troupe for doing that. It was spectacular. And so thanks again. We're going to look at those videos now and come back with a few questions or an ad libs small section at the end with Neil Dickey. Thanks again, and let's look at that video now.
Highland dancing is one of the highlights at Cowl. With so many dancers competing at Cowl, the judges have no easy task.
And they lead into the arena, the Highland dancers. foreground there, Christine Lacey, the world champion. Now the oldest and best known sword dance, Gilly Callum. Tradition has it that Gilly Callum was none other than Malcolm Canmore. Canmore, a Celtic prince and the hero of a mortal combat against one of Macbeth's chiefs at the battle in 1054. The 8 members of the display team include no less than 6 world champions.
Okay, so Donald, your favourite Highland games?
Favorite Highland games would be Braemar.
Christine, your favourite step in the hornpipe?
Run a cable haul.
What? Oh, that's that one. That's where you make all that noise with your heels, right?
No, that's the like Charles.
All right. Donald, what's the best solo performance you've seen? Not in competition, but like in a concert or on an album or something.
Alistair Gillis, 1986, former winners.
All right. Christine, curry or fish supper?
Fish supper, any day.
Donald, Miss Marple or Poirot?
Poirot.
Christine, X Factor or Britain's Got Talent?
Well, I have to pick one. X Factor.
All right. Donald, favourite Disney character?
Baloo the bear.
Christine, same question.
Donald Duck.
Is he a Disney character? I didn't know Donald Duck was in Disney. Oh, yes he is. He's always, yeah, he's at Disney World.
Donald
He's got a mask on now, though. That's why I didn't know. Right. Okay, this is the last bit. This is a couple's question, okay? So I'm going to count you in and you both answer at the same time. Okay, so here's my question. Your favourite vacation place? 5, 6, 7, 8.
San Antonio.
What did she say?
He said San Antonio, and I said Orlando. We love them both.
Okay, who makes the better breakfast? And a 1 and a 2.
Donald.
And what is that breakfast, Christine?
Sorry, I never heard you, Neil.
What is that breakfast that he makes that's so good?
Oh, whatever's on the menu. I'm not precious.
At Kaylee's, what dance do you do together every time?
Well, there's only one. He only has a repertoire of one. St. Bernard's Waltz.
Me too. That's the only one I know. Well, I can do the Ace and Reel and the Strip the Willow and all that. But if Nancy wants to dance, she has to wait until the waltzes happen, because that's, you know, I'm not getting up for the rest. Last one. Oh no, second last one. Who's the navigator on car journeys?
Well, Christine drives the bus, so unless there's drink involved, and 9 times out of 10 it's a dancing event, and if it is, then I'm the driver. So.
What's the last thing you binge watched together on TV?
We just got done watching the one about the nurse on the BBC.
Dr. Foster.
Dr. Foster. Yeah.
Oh, no, I do have one last question. When you read a book, do you share books? Like Nancy and I go through this thing, she'll find some books, and then I'll find it on my side of the bed for, like, she's recommending that I read that. Do you guys do that?
The only book we share is the RSOBHD textbook.
Perfect. And I hope Donald's well versed in that.
Oh, for the music section, absolutely.
All right, brilliant. I'm done. Thank you both so very much for this. I really appreciate it. I thought it was brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Neil. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll wind it up then by saying this has been really, really exciting stuff. Great Interviews. Thank you so much. Thanks, Neil and Heather, and you two in Scotland. It's been fantastic. We hope this is treating you well, this little gap in life, and that may things settle down soon. For those listening out there, hope you've enjoyed this. We will definitely be back soon with our next interview series that's already planned. It's coming back mid-August. And thanks to all once again. Thanks to Alexandria, Scotland, Donald and Christine. Bye for now.
Keep safe, everyone.
Godspeed.
Bye.
Bye.